up in the living space of Zeef's. You've just, you just heard. Okay, the boys are back in town. From Zeef, Worram, and been waiting all session to say it. And
couldn't resist.
Yeah, man. You know the weight of that information. You said, well, okay, well, maybe we can go deal with Spider. But you already know Spider can't make that deal. The amount of cubic meters of Klauzon you're trying to get back to the herd fleet is way more than anyone who's not a direct member of the clan can sign off on. It's like a whole season's output, all at once. Like, it's a great deal. It's a great deal, but there's no criffing way he can make it. Like,
you're trying to make a
because
bulk
it's gonna
order
mess
and you
up,
don't even have
it's going to mess up
card.
all the rest of their deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you came with everything that the herd fleet could give you to make the trade. You know what I mean? They didn't send you hat in hand to beg for this amount of fuel or whatever. They're pragmatists, and everybody has chipped in for this, but now the ship's been sitting and stuff. So yeah, maybe you can go talk to Spider. He's already told you. Great deal. As soon as work comes back, you can try to make it with him. I got the data here. I'll tell him what's up. Sounds like a good deal, but you got to make the deal with him. So you'll have to make the deal with him. Was the last, you had heard on that from Spider, weeks ago. I'm surprised Zeef even remembers he has to go talk to Spider. But I guess, the calf down the back of his hand reminded him earlier.
It's a cold sweat that brought it back.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that call was sobering itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's completely sobered up. The hangover's still there, but he barely registers it based on the new tensions in his head.
Sure, yeah, it's just giving you problems with your motor function at this point. You know what I mean? But you're already distracted enough on top of it. But also, I guess the last bit of information, Worram, is that the new clients are right out in the living space. So, Zeef, as much as your bug-out bag in front of you is calling to you, you have business here on Iceball.
Right.
As well. And apparently it's right in the living room on the other side of the wall. If I can put some words in Worram's vocabulator as we head into...
I was going to say, does he have a mouth? He technically has a mouth.
He's
got two mouths, and one of those Cybertronic vocabulators on the back of his neck, like old Joe from Rebels, that actually processes his authorities into Galactic Basic. So
yeah, please, if you wanted to.
He doesn't actually have it in the picture. Yeah, I want to hand it to you guys. I just wanted to lead in.
Okay.
With the fact that Worram also informs you that.
Zeef kind of straightens up, takes a second to gather himself, and follows Worram back out of the office into the living area to meet with the two clients. Masters Jedi, Misa hoping you's had a good night's sleep. Give them both a handshake. Good to see you and Yusa again.
I look over at Master Xavix and just sort of say, we never said we were Jedi. What makes you think we were Jedi?
Zeef kind of rolls his eyes and we're not going through this again. You can keep your secrets. You're not Jedi. That's fine. We'll leave it at that, Mr. Jedi.
That's fine. It's fine.
So what can we do for you?
Luisa, at your service. Yusa gave us the 500 credits up front, so anything Yusa might need, we'd be happy to help.
So I have some errands to do around town, but we were given an invitation to go up to the top of the mountain. This would help us with Narset's visions as well as reaching our goal. I think we could use you for one more day if you want.
Yusa needing another lift. Okay, no problem. Do you want to go to the casino or to the factory?
I think the casino is where we need to meet our contact.
Okay, yeah, we could definitely do that. As you see, gesture behind me down the hall to the speeder in the mechanic room. We took a little bit of damage last night, so got some repairs that we're just finishing up. But we can take you down there probably at the top of the hour.
We also seem to be in a little bit of trouble. I heard the commotion a little earlier.
Oh yeah, got a lot of things going on, multiple cases and working at the moment, so can't really go into details. You understand.
A lot of ins, a lot of outs, a lot of what have you.
Column A, column B, a lot of moving parts.
So Worram heard that Zeef has already offered the speeder that he is still not finished repairing, and just face palms and starts heading back down the stairs, stomping loudly to the garage to continue working on this speeder.
So to add to your frustration, Worram, it's really only like a 20-minute walk to the damn casino. Everyone in town just walks
We could
there.
walk. Yeah.
And every time you drive the speeder there's a chance that I'm going to spend dark side points to
It just got
vandalize
messed
it.
up last night, and here we are going back.
The speeder's
So-
downstairs. We's able to give you a lift to the gasworks. We gotta head into the city on a case business anyway, so we can totally do that for you.
Sounds good.
As you head downstairs and out, you guys enter Worram's garage. Last night it was dark, it was cold, you were in a rush. Now you see that even though he's been furiously, frustratedly cursing all the while, the Ithorian has taken over the space effectively in the month and a half that he's been staying here at Zeef's place. And his tools are all laid out neatly, after he put them away, finishing the work. The speeder, for all the complaints he made, looks in fairly decent repair for, any kind of land transport on a planet like this, with the conditions it's in. Apparently busted up means anything less than, like, showroom perfect in
High
the
standards.
Ithorian's vocabulary.
I take pride in my work.
Yeah, exactly. There are standards and there are standards. You can't let them slip. But y'all load up and we star wipe down the road to the gasworks. You guys raced through here last night. You lost the hover truck that had chased you out of the city. You can see some labor droids are still straightening things out there at the corner of the building where a pile of heavy containers were knocked over when the truck careened into them. But when you pull up next to the gondola platform, standing there where the roadway through the gasworks facility widened to the wider track, the highway heading into the city, you see that there are a couple of cartel speeders with some of the boys leaning against them by the highway and, keeping an eye on the gondola platform. And when you pull up right outside the transport station that heads to the landing platform where your Ithorian buddy's got his ship, a couple of Weekways and a Rhodian starts sauntering over towards you. One of the Weekways raises a hand and calls out and goes,
Zeef, you can't be that dumb.
but of course you're just getting out so that the Jedi can move out of the back seat of the speeder through the coupe doors and get out to head up to the gondola platform. You see Junior from the night before, and he shrugs.
Keep your dreadlocks on. I'm on my way to see your boss right now, actually. I mutter under my breath, get back in the speeder once the Jedi are able to get out of the backseat.
Can we charm them?
Yeah, if you want to, you can totally make a
charm
check.
them. Say the Zeef is currently assisting me in my services right now. You're gonna let us pass.
So you don't have influence to actually mind trick him, but you can just make a charm check, and your charm is 3 greens and a blue. So that's not a bad hand.
I'll try that.
2 successes and a despair and a threat. So you say something charming that in some way reveals information where they're going to be maybe they're terribly interested now, or maybe you say something that gets Zeef in hot water, even though it charms them in some way, but there's going to be a despair coming out of this, even though you have successfully charmed them about Zeef working for you guys, and also a threat, meaning there's going to be some sort of immediate... You take a strain. So your strain threshold is 13. You take 1 strain towards your threshold. If you get all of them, you fall down because you're too stressed out to deal with shit anymore for right now. I can decide what happens with that despair, but you can also decide, and I want to give you the chance first because, you're the one who said something.
I think our interest in going up to the mountains and me trying to push past whoever this spider was, I think it would piss him off. Even though he'd probably let it go, he'd run to his boss and be like, "Yo, they're trying to escape." And
So that's absolutely going to get to
people.
Spider. That's, yeah. Okay, Spider's gonna know as soon as they get back to the comm link that's in the, land speeder. Okay, and you already took the threat, but yeah, okay, so they're like, all right, they're convinced, yeah, Zeef's working for these guys, sure, and who the hell are that, who the criff are they, and why are they going up to the factory? That's our operation. Spider needs to know about this. And they're like,
Okay, sure. Zeef, taking fancy off-world customers now, huh? Guess you really didn't want to accept Spider's job offer.
Fancy off-world credits, more like it.
they're already heading back towards their speeder with a brisk step, and the Rhodian is raising a comlink towards his snoot as they pass away. The speeders both take off. Junior shrugs at you again before he gets in, and they head towards the city, to let you keep your word, like you just said, that you're coming to see Spider, because you weren't going to lie to them, were you? And you guys can see Rathamith, the financier, is standing outside of the huge turnstiles that lead up onto the gondola platform from the gasworks. Narset, Xavix. Rathamith is bouncing up and down.
Walk up the stairs up to Rathamith, greeting him with a firm handshake.
He says, "Greetings, sir. Good morning to you both. I hope you had a pleasant... You broke your fast pleasantly," he says, in sort of the mock high speech that these core world pretenders like to put on. He says, "Hope you broke your fast pleasantly. We were expecting to see you up at the club, sir. I believe you talked to our chairman last night. He managed to have one of the droids clean out an accommodation for you. Within the wing we've still kept away from those ruffians. Not all of the expatriate club has fallen into disrepair."
I had my companion with me, and we decided to make other arrangements last minute. I hope it doesn't bother you too much.
Says, "Not at all. But of course, a whole suite was prepared if you're willing to, join our ranks. Accommodations for the both of you. Your lady will not be turned out in the streets, sir. Not if you're a member." And he bows to you, Narset, and says, "I'm sorry I haven't greeted you yet. I am Bath Rathaman, miss. A financier here, part of the expatriate club."
We met at the gambling table. I was hoping to see your archaeologist friend here.
He says, "This early she's probably still poring over a data pad with a mug of caf if she's not in the field. She tends to be a late riser when she can afford to be. But now that the workers are up there producing credits at a furious pace, why don't we go up and see what the fruits of my labor are earning me in the club?" And he says,
The dick.
you guys get onto a gondola. These are massive conveyances. Each one of them transports 500 workers at a time. The towers that support them are 50 meters tall with a huge apparatus at the top that's beaming a pulsing red beam up the side of the mountain from pillar to pillar, and the gondolas are transported along it at the end of an arm. Mr. Rathamith looks slightly seasick after just a few moments, but he is energetic at the beginning. He explains, "I'm the financier for the expatriate club. You understand, not directly involved with the factory, but as we have made a not unsizable investment there, I feel perhaps we can get in. A gift of gab is not necessarily my forte, but we should be able to get through the door. And once we're in, I did take a tour once when we made the investment, and I can probably remember quite a bit."
I think that'll be fair enough for us. Thank you very much.
He says, do you have any questions about the operation?"
What is it that's getting pumped into the water exactly?
He looks around and he goes, "Pumped into the water?" And then he looks down and he goes, Oh, I don't know, some sort of off product from the gasworks. They produce the electricity and the heat. There's always some sort of byproduct,
True.
You have to pump it somewhere.
How long is the ride up to the top of the mountain?
Probably half an hour.
Think
It's
that,
massive. It can't move too quickly.
I think they definitely cut. Unless Narset, do you have anything you want to get from him? I'm kind of just interested to see.
Yeah, we
Volcano.
definitely noticed lower number of workers going into the facility versus the number we saw coming out.
Couldn't help productivity.
Yeah, is there a reason why there's fewer workers now? Are people like falling into the volcano, or like is it just hard enough work where there's just a high turnout rate?
Rathmith says, no, from what I can gather, the only problems they have are that their boss simply isn't around. Vork, the local hut, buggered off half a cron
Really?
ago
What could scare off
and
a
hasn't
hut?
been back.
Yeah,
Says,
yeah. Scare off a
nothing
hut.
scares off a hut. He left on business. He does frequently, but usually he does return if there's business to be done. The Hammerhead fellow who gave you a lift this morning, I understand he's been laid up here because of a deal he can't make with the huts. Without Vork here, they continue to work away busily as ever, but they're not making any moves, you see. Probably why those damned Imperials came here as well.
Wait, why do they come here? Because they can't get off the planet?
You're going to have to make a check to see
Fine.
if you can get, what response he's going to have for you. Or Xavix.
I guess Coercion,
instead,
since that's 3 greens instead of 2 greens.
So you're going to
Yeah,
try to,
right.
lean on him.
Go ahead and...
Are you going to attempt it? All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to spend a destiny point to upgrade one of your green dice to a yellow die?
No, I don't want to take them from somebody else.
Xavix, are you assisting her in the question asking?
Yes, I would like to give her a boost, but can I
Okay.
roll as well?
You will be able to afterwards, yes.
Okay.
Rathamith is one of the names of, one of those guys you were playing
Oh, really?
online against. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never would have picked a guy whose name, you can't say
That's
without
hilarious.
Rathamith.
Rathamith.
No, it would not have been that.
I mean, I don't know what you're
That
talking
is
about.
not the joke I'm going for.
It is a
So you
splendid name.
succeed
Oh
with
my
4
God.
successes and 5.
Crazy
Wait,
threat.
what happened?
You
I missed
succeed.
it.
4 successes and 5 threats. So there's a lot of otherwise negative shit goes down. You take 2 strain
So
towards
he
your
is
strain limit,
super
off the
intimidated.
top. And he is super intimidated and probably you're going to have setback
From my
dice.
simple ass
to
question
talk to
of
him.
why is the Imperial...
Yeah, but you're like,
required-
listen,
Well, but-
tell us why the Imperials are here. You
You like
are
grabbed him by the
coercing
cuff, like,
him.
what the fuck?
Or
dude?
else I'm gonna, toss you off the edge of the... You tell me how it goes down.
And I'm sure 5
There
threat
are-
will come back to bite you in the ass.
There are
I
extreme
mean, I wasn't trying to
negative...
intimidate the dude. I was just
You
trying to
said
ask a question.
coercion.
You said coercion.
You said
Just-
coercion.
Yeah.
Just coerce the
Because
fuck
Instead
it
of
out
had
charm,
three-
you
because it had
coerce.
3 green instead of 2. Yeah.
Right, so you coerced him instead
Where are
of
the
charmed
drugs
him.
going?
Sometimes it's a harder skill check to go
Where are the
down the
troopers
light
here?
side. So, after a round of pleasantries and talking, Narset keys on the fact that Vruk's gone, the deals can't be made, the Imperials are here now, and she asks, well, why are the Imperials here now? Seizing the opportunity now that the hut's gone, and Rathamith nods and sort of says, yeah, that's it, in an unconvincing way, given how enthusiastically he's been answering all of the previous questions. So Narset decides to lean on him a little bit, moving to corner Rathamith towards some of the seats at the edge of the gondola. She says, I mean, that's it. They're not doing anything,
They're not
If they
stuck-
came because they saw an opportunity, they would be taking advantage of the opportunity. We saw the ships at the landing platform when we came in last night. They're not stuck here. They could leave if they want to. He goes, yeah, it's cushy, though, after they pushed us all out. She goes, yeah, that seems kind of convenient, You guys all pulled up stakes and left, except for a couple of you, right as they all moved in. The hut's not here to regulate the world anymore. What's going on, Rathamith? Cornering him at the edge of the gondola. Narset lunges forward as Rathamith tries to slip past her. Her coat slides open. At the flash of silver, he glances down, sees the lightsaber, his eyes fly open, he goes, a Jedi. He goes, I swear, we didn't intend for anything like this to happen. We just wanted to open another revenue stream. That's all. We thought, get into racing. Why not get into racing? We do everything else. Guided tours, hunting trips, fishing, excursions, all sorts of delights that you might want here in the Rim. We thought we could sponsor a racer. We just picked the wrong racer, that's all. We thought he would bring in fans. He brought in fans. I swear I didn't know what I was getting us into. He says, you can help us, right? You're a Jedi, right? Isn't killing stormtroopers what you people do? Didn't your leader bring down the Empire? We
It
just
was
thought
racing.
we could sponsor a
Racing
racer.
what? What are you racing?
starships! Now with 5 threat, he's turning this to advantage. He goes, right? Why else would Jedi be out here in Hutt space? Except to take care of this. Yeah? He goes, or if not, like, I'm sure Spider would want to know about Jedi operating on the planet, you know? I'm sure there's something in the club bylines about this, too. If you're going to join, he says, like, that's, you know, a big stick he can wield. Your membership in the club might be at risk if you didn't reveal this ahead of time, sir. You know, did you know this about your companion?
I immediately look over to Master Xavix. I'm just like, should we erase his memory? Like,
neither of you have a force power that lets you do it.
I know, but he doesn't fucking know that.
No, oh, so you say that? You say that? You're like, we're gonna Men in Black this? Should we erase his memory?
Is that another roll? That sounds like another roll.
It's not so
no,
bad.
she's just taking
We
conflict
just
right
revealed-
now, and that's going to play out later when
Gotcha.
she makes a roll to see if she
Because
goes
he's
towards the
threatening to
dark
turn
side.
us into the Hutts.
Right, I was just saying that statement sounds
Yeah,
like
so
an intimidation
we-
roll.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, yes. He could
What?
make a
That's-
roll to see if he is frightened of the fact that she just said, well, why don't we just erase his memory? Yeah, before you even get a chance to ask him any
Hey, man.
questions, he is going to
You
make
didn't even
a
hesitate. You went
discipline
dark
check
like
against
that.
fear. So he's going to make
Straight
a
to
check
the dark.
against fear.
Boom.
This is gonna go south super fast.
Is it coercion? What is it?
It's intimidation.
No, he's
I don't
making a
have
roll.
intimidation. What is
No,
it?
you're not
No,
rolling.
he's,
Oh, no.
he's
He
making
is rolling.
he's
a
making
check
a fear
against
check.
Fear. He is making a check against fear to see if you terrified him with that comment casually about erasing his memory, and whether he just shuts down and isn't going to talk to you guys anymore, and is just going to like run for the thing and be like, "We need security as soon as
He's
we
got
land."
30
He
minutes
might.
there with us.
Yeah, but he could push the panic button that those 5 threat put in his pocket. You know what I mean? Without
There's
you guys
this
even knowing.
negotiation.
So,
I think Master Xavix might want to step in here after this roll.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm waiting for my turn to step in.
No worries.
it was that last mind-erasing comment that necessitated this. He fails to succeed to not be terrified at the threat that you're going to erase
man.
his
Wait,
mind.
so what does that mean?
With
He's
a
fucking
threat.
terrified
So it
of
means
you.
he's
Oh, it
fucking
means-
terrified, and with a threat at the. So do we erase this guy's memory or what? He just sinks down against the wall and is hugging his knees and like shaking.
So
He's
we
an
won.
NPC who is now in
He
power.
pees himself.
Will no longer be interacted
Technically.
with.
I mean,
So
you
you
won if the
ended the
goal was to
social encounter.
bully this guy.
Yeah, right. If your goal was to continue to
But he's not
have
going to turn us
positive,
in.
You don't know
He's
that.
not-
You just know that he's fucking peeing his pants right now in this moment.
yeah, he's terrified right now because there's no exit. If there was an exit zone available, he would flee towards it with all speed as soon as he regained cognizance. But right now he's terrified.
Xavix, this is your chance to play good cop, okay? This is your
You
good
went
cop
too
moment.
far with the bad cop. Successes with
went too
5
far.
threat
You
was a
went
lot
full
of bad
Batman.
cops. You didn't have to be like, so do we wipe his mind now or what? You know, that was one step too far. We're going to learn about the morality system at the end of this session, boys. We haven't yet.
Can I try something real quick?
Absolutely. Yes.
Go ahead,
Please
yeah.
try to
Yeah.
salvage
Try
the
and
situation
salvage
this.
for
So I
me,
want-
Xavix. I am also patiently waiting for you.
Yes, so I would like to go down there to him, hopefully look over at Narset to maybe walk to the other side of the thing where he's not much of a threat, although he probably still is. But walk over and say, I'm really sorry for that coming off a little bit rough. Listen, I think we might be able to be benefit to each other, and I think that we can help you with your problems. Yes, we're here, or yes, we're Jedi, but yes, we're here to help you as well. I really want to like set it in because I feel like yes, if he knows that he's a, and this is like off, not me saying, this is me
Sure.
thinking out loud, is that yeah, he may know that we're Jedi, and he just got threatened to like piss himself.
But right before
Yes, but
that,
at
he
the
was
same
like,
time-
"You're here to help me, right?" Yeah.
But then
Yeah,
he
we're here to
threatened
help
turn
you,
us in.
so I want him to know. Maybe be
Because you
afraid of
rolled 5
Narset.
threat.
Yeah, let's
Would've been
let me
fun.
try to help him, and if I can roll wait, what do I where is it? Charm again. Kind of hopefully make him feel better about it.
Absolutely.
love to do that.
Do you want to spend a destiny point to upgrade one of your green die to a yellow die?
Yes.
All right. The difficulty, he's too terrified to utilize his talents to upgrade the difficulty of this check. So you did not succeed, but you got an advantage. So I will let you roll again, as you do not coerce him out. He's still a terrified NPC, but you can get an extra blue die from that one advantage. And roll the check again. Narset,
Okay,
have you
extra blue
moved
die
all the way
from
to the other side of the cabin, or are you still, like,
Sure.
pacing there like an angry young woman? Okay, you can remove one of the setback dice as well.
I moved the opposite, yeah.
Okay.
4 successes. And no threat this time, so he does not react negatively to whatever kind of sweet-talking you try to do. And on top of bringing him
Thank God our
around,
dice
you've got,
are with
like,
us.
3 more successes there to, do whatever else you want with. So with, like, one success, you're like, okay, man. And he's talking to you again, and you're like, we are Jedi. She's a little hot-tempered. I'm the good cop. And
She was
he's willing to
raised
be
by
like,
witches.
okay, good, the good cop.
Yeah, the
You
good
were
cop is
raised
here.
by witches. That's
protect you.
true.
Don't want him to come across as less powerful. Want to stand him up.
He straightens out his
For
robes and his
another
ponytail.
Yeah.
Poor Rathmith.
I think you have a chance to help us help you right now, and I think this would be a really good time for you to give us a hand. We have a few things we're going to need to solve this for you, but can we count on you to help us through it and give us what we need?
He seems agreeable to that, absolutely. He nods and he goes, yes, I would do anything to undo the damage I've done to the club. I'm supposed to be the financier. If all this comes out, I'll never win the re-election next Cron. The scandal.
You keep on trying to get us to join your club. What would that do for you, and what would that do for us?
He says, well, obviously we're on hard times now, but even just the prestige of joining the Expats Club, why, when we go back, I'll show you the plaque up in the main room, as long as those ruffians aren't in there to spoil things. Why, our membership, any figure that you could care to name in the last 250 crons, sir. I swear they've passed through our doors at some point, and many of them have had at least some form of membership, not full members like myself, not resident members, surely, but I believe last night I heard you mention the name of Calrissian, that ruffian. Why, he was here 20 years ago. We've got his hollow on the wall with all the rest of them. I'll show you. I believe he was wearing your coat, miss.
Ah, that's true. This coat did come from Calrissian's. It's kept me quite warm while we've stayed here.
Then I think that we can help each other, and this is going to work out to both our benefit.
Excellent. At this point, the gondola is just coming up very steeply at this point. But as it passes the next pylon, the angle changes, and now you have a view of the factory up at the caldera at the edge. You've been following the pipeline of waste gases from the factory that headed down the mountainside to the gasworks on your way up. And now you see 3 massive green-gray pillars rising into the sky around the rim of the volcano, which is just a black silhouette itself among the daytime sky from this angle. These massive pillars are pumping out some sort of blue energy, whether it's a field to capture the gases from the volcano or to tamp down. You notice that though this volcano appears to be active enough that there's a red sheen on the metal of the pillars, there's no smoke rising from it. Perhaps these collectors have something to do with that. Piping and tubing arrangements bring whatever is being captured by these collectors around to the main factory building, which is an enormous green-gray edifice there at the side of the volcano, just below the rim. The gondola platform is connected to this and the administration building by a number of platforms and walkways supported by beams and held up by taut wires from the buildings and the mountainside itself. But you're pulling off to the gondola platform. Just there behind the gondola platform, you see massive gray Durasteel and yellow identification marking tanks marked Klauzon up the side there. And you see huge tubes and piping arrangements heading down a ridge line towards the landing platform, where there are more tankers, and where Worm's ship is locked up in the landing platform zone. You pull up and settle into the gondola platform cradle, and Rathamith finishes straightening up his outfit and nods warily to you, Narset, and a little more warmly to Xavix, and then gestures towards the platform for you to exit. Now that the hours of operation are going on at the factory, this area is mostly deserted. The administration building, which is closer to you, is a very sturdy Durasteel structure with slit windows. There are some ancient, pitted and charred-looking security droids standing very stiffly at the edge of the walkway that leads into the admin building. And down the longer pathway, you can see the huge edifice of the factory. This set of platforms and walkways that head into the factory got to be wide enough for 15 men to move abreast, and there's a huge doorway in the side of the refinery building. See the glow of machinery inside, even from over here on the platform. Rathamith says, I know a few people in the admin building, Celestians, mostly good folk. A couple of them even worked for the mining guild back in the day. They keep their paperwork straight, they do. You could probably get you in there to talk to them. I don't know about the refinery building itself. I don't have a pass or anything, unfortunately.
Where would we find the archaeologist?
It says probably in the bar down at the club, having a mug of calf and getting her data pads together. If she's going to take you out, she's probably going to do some research first. She goes, well, mostly we don't leave the club. I'm excited to go on this outing with you, sir. I'm sure if you speak to her, she'll take you out across the ice floes, though.
I think then this gondola ride just gave us a good chance to talk alone, and now we know we have an ally in the area that we can count on. Narset, do you see any reason to stay up here if we're not going to find the answers that we seek this time?
Can I just do an overall lore check on what my dreams were in accordance to what we're able to look at right now?
Sure, absolutely, because you might have had much more detailed dreams at some point, that you don't immediately recall. Since you're here, a triumphant 2 successes with 2 advantages.
So yeah, is there anything that is...
Yeah, as you step out onto the platform, in a flash, you are suddenly recalling part of your dream that you didn't remember, some details from before. You see the gaping entrance to the refinery that you saw earlier. Workers boiling away inside at extremely complex machines that are separating and re-separating these gases, condensers and extractors and refractors and laser fields. And at some point there's just a room that appears to be doing nothing but producing smoke and fire with some narrow walkways over some pits of flame. Your vision pushes in deeper and lower into the twisting pathways that actually lead from this refinery into the side of the mountain, past control rooms and more work rooms, where now instead of Aqualish and Gagorans, you see Mustafarians and Celestians working at removing minerals and crystals directly from the inside of the mountain that are being brought back to be crushed down and extracted as part of the process in the factory itself. These pathways lead out into a control room that is sitting on the inside of the mountain caldera, and in your vision you see Celestians and Mustafarians hard at work in the control room. Out in front of it you can see a platform that projects out into the middle of the caldera through the heavily reinforced window, and you recognize it from the end of your dream where you saw Xavix and yourself standing out on this causeway preparing to do battle with some unseen foe. But you don't sense anything like danger or suspicion out here now. It's just very windy and cold out here on the platform right now. I'm willing to lay that out right now.
Zap back from my vision. I look over to Master Xavix and I'm like, yeah, we should touch bases with this archaeologist. Sounds like a good idea.
That sounds good.
You guys get back onto the gondola and it pulls off back down the mountain. Rathamith looks a little deflated that he doesn't get to take you guys on his made-up tour. And then the camera travels down the mountainside into the city. This is a sprawling city of 20,000 souls, probably 2/3 of which make up the shifts working up at the factory itself, the rest of whom are either here on the hut payroll or to keep things going for the city itself, you know, in all kinds of service jobs and working down at the docks and things like that, plus some newcomers from off-world. As you head into the city, you see that one of the Aquavesh from Junior's car waves an arm, sticks his head and torso out of the window, and waves for you to follow, and instead of heading into the city where the hut compound is, they veer off down towards the docks, retracing the path from your chase the night before. And unsurprising to no one, given the amount of dread that seems to be creeping in, they pull up right outside the warehouse, you know, you shot out of last night, Zeef. There is a much finer land speeder already ticking and cooling on the dock as you pull up. Not exactly a stretch job, you know, but more of the black Escalade variety of land speeder. And you see the glowing coal of a cigar through the smoked glass of its windows. Spider's already here. Junior is moving towards the land speeder as you pull up.
I exchange a wary glance with Worram and say, Misa got a bad feeling about this one. As we get ready to step out of the land speeder, I say we just play it real cool. It might not be a trap. It could be they've discovered this warehouse as well.
I mean, you guys did cause quite a ruckus last night on your way out of here.
It's true.
And they already knew about it by the time you got to...
There's a Zeef-shaped hole in the window.
Yeah. Let's play it cool, but, you know, be ready.
Absolutely. Yep. Junior is making his way over towards you. He says,
Last time, I'm going to ask Zeefy, are you working for Spider or not? Just this time for me. This isn't the big ask, but this is the last time I'm going to ask.
Look, I'm not working against Spider, okay? Take it or leave it. I got information he might be interested in.
He gives you a grin that looks more like he's sympathetic towards you for the, you know, like, he's disappointed. Mm-hmm. You know, because, like, he thought you were going to be smart, like, once. Right. You know what I mean? And that's
he was trying to throw me a bone.
That's still not the smart answer, right? Yeah, he goes...
Okay, wait here.
He raps on the hood with his knuckles. He goes...
The speeder looks like crap.
And makes his way across the dock over to the black land speeder. The window comes down. He talks through it for a couple of minutes. Feels like an eternity. It's probably more like a couple of seconds. Then he makes his way back across the dock to your blue land speeder, and he says,
We'll talk inside.
And then gestures towards the warehouse and waits for you guys to head in.
All right, we've come this far. We'll follow him into the warehouse. Or at least I will.
Oh, no, he gestures for you to go right ahead, and he follows you in.
Okay. Worram, are you coming with, or are you going to stay at the speeder?
There's not an option. He gestures. Yeah, if Worram tries to stay, he's going to be
insist that I go too. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So I'm going. I'll follow him. I'll get out of the speeder and follow him in also.
All right. So you guys head in. You see that the boxes and crates have all been opened, rummaged through, and pushed towards the walls. The two tables that had the chemistry setups on them last night are cleared and empty. There are a couple of local Weequay enforcers from the cartel standing around sneering at you. And Junior comes inside with you. His guys stay outside, and he says,
This what you ran into last night? When you came into the bar all shot up?
Yeah, something like that. Looks like a glitter stim operation. Right under your nose, Spider.
He says,
If you were working for us, Zeef, then when you found places like this, we would pay you for it. Instead now, Spider is going to want to ask you a lot of questions, and you know we don't got you on retainer. But he's also not going to take no for an answer, right? So why don't you take a minute, cast your detective eye around the place, Zeefy. If you find anything that the boys missed, maybe that'll put you in Spider's good books.
And he heads back outside to go talk to Spider. The Weequays are standing around, leering. One guy's up on the catwalk with a rifle. The other two guys are leaning against crates. And last night had to be all sneaky, but it looks like this place has already been tossed, and before that was probably already evacuated. After you busted into the place, they probably moved immediately. But maybe you'll find some, because these guys are idiots, and that's well known.
Okay, I'm going to do, I guess, an investigation check? Perception check?
Perception check. Yes, sir.
I'll give him a boost too, just adding another pair of eyes, basically.
Okay.
Basically to the general area, but I am going to kind of concentrate on where the table, where the drugs were, with the activity that I saw visually. I'm going to kind of focus on that.
There's a setback because everything is in disarray, either because it was tossed or because it was cleaned up.
Sure, it's the opposite of a preserved crime scene, for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
So you have a success and an advantage. So checking the area, you find that, during the initial toss, some stuff was tossed around, and you find some packing material. So it's obvious that whatever kind of raw materials were used here were brought in as raw materials, and here's your proof that somebody's, actually got an operation,
The drugs were straight processed here. They weren't just, shipped here, pre-made, ready to sell. They actually made them here.
Exactly. They're not stealing your shit and, sound like they're making bold again.
Yeah. Evidence of manufacturing.
Right. After you poke around for a while, you hear Junior clear his throat over by the door, and as you look up, Spider is making his way in. His bounty hunters, a thoroughly augmented gank with red and gold cybernetic armor plating and face, an integrated blaster in the back of one of his cybernetic forearms, moves in and leans against some of the crates. An enormous Nikto with a huge, equally enormous vibro axe plants the butt of his axe on the floor over by the door and just stands there holding it upright against the light coming in from the docks. Junior shrugs once more and heads out to his lance and says,
"See you back in Fishtown. Maybe."
Hops in, and he and his 3 Nikto buddies all roll out. Spider has a gold-headed cane in one hand, and he's ticking the claws, 2 of his other hands together. His last hand is holding a data pad that he's looking at as he makes his way in. Then he looks up and he says,
"The little frog everyone's hopping about.
Hello, Spider."
It's always so pleasant, isn't it, Zeef?"
I toss him a little piece of the raw material and kind of give him the eyebrow, see for yourself, some evidence here you boys missed.
They miss a lot, Zeef. That's why I let you keep up your little operation. I just wish you would go exclusive. You know I don't like black marks in my book, Zeef. If I can tell Vork that you're on the payroll when he comes back, that's a red mark. I want the market to go up.
I got grieving widows who want answers. On the other hand of that, though, I don't see any upticks for them if I start working for you.
Grieving widows what? My boys haven't offed anybody in Fishtown. We don't cause any problems there. If you work for us, you help us keep the streets clean, and Fishtown has no problems. Except for the problems they cause for themselves.
says,
They've got plenty of problems down there these days, from what I hear, anyway. Shouldn't you have work to keep you busy there, Have you gotten to the bottom of the mystery of why the Remnant is crawling all over my island, Zeef? If that's the case, I would love you to solve before the boss gets back. Why don't you put your nose to something useful to everybody, Zeef?
Interesting you should mention that. Have you heard from Vork recently? Haven't really seen him much around the city.
You're gonna have to make a
late.
check to get that information out of him.
Sure.
There's
I'm
Zeef.
going to charm him for this.
So you did not get a success because your triumph and your other success were both canceled by those failures. So what you have here is a triumph that is not a success. It's not a failure. It's not a success. You have not succeeded at charming Spider, but there is no negative outcome, and something triumphant is going to happen. So you haven't charmed him. He's not going to answer about Vork, but he's going to give up something else. He's not going to tell you what Vork's been up to. He goes,
Vork's very busy. There's plenty going on here that he would come back to. Business is business. He's got big business to deal with. Let's handle all the little business here on Iceball while he's away, Zeke. Me and you, okay? This looks like business, right? You got stormtrooper business. I got whatever the hell this business is. Let's do some business.
It all sounds reasonable so far. I do not, and this is me speaking, not Zeef speaking, but I don't trust Spider as far as I can throw him, so...
Right,
I'd rather
as soon
keep
as
him on
you
my
say
good graces,
yes, you get
but...
20 more obligation of
Exactly.
you are now a patsy of the Hutts that might come up at any time. Totally, yeah, you know, like, that's that game mechanic. You're now a Hutt underling. 20 obligation, you know?
Whatever problems are going on here, let's just solve them before the boss comes back. How about that? You know? Then you can talk to the boss about whether you want to work for him, okay?
Can I,
This is a sweetheart deal, Zeef. I don't get you.
in the interest of business, I do have something else I've uncovered that might be useful to you. I don't suppose your boys have figured out who sent this operation down here. Start processing spice under your nose.
He spreads his two upper arms wide. He plants his cane and puts his data pad behind his back and he goes,
Zeefy, this is why I love you. Please, elucidate me. I want nothing more than to hear this information you have to give.
Well, you know how much I love being forthcoming with a cartel majordomo. But, you know, I drank so much last night, my memory is just like it's a little hazy. I'm sure you can understand. Maybe you could help me out a little bit, help me recollect a little better.
he says,
You can recollect over some drinks at the compound? I don't want to recollect a place like this. Let's take a ride. We can talk indoors where it's warm, not on this dock.
I don't want to get in the car with him, man. It's not gonna go well. I've put my foot
he says,
in
your
my mouth.
friend can come too.
Trying to
One
get
of
a
his
bribe
arms-
out of him.
One of his arms gestures towards Worm and he goes,
Your friend can come too. I would love to continue to discuss that deal with you.
I'm gonna plant my feet. I'm gonna say,
Captain,
I'm a busy man, Spider. I got many clients today, so why don't we just settle this here? I'll be on my way.
Then elucidate away and be on yours.
Okay.
Who's dealing drugs under my nose, Zeefy? Who's bumping off my foreman, Zeefy?
Let's just say the whole thing smells pretty fishy. Gives him the eyebrow. I'm assuming Spider's plugged in enough to know who's
goes,
Zeefy, you're not saying your old boss is trying to set up an operation on the same world that I've been letting you operate on independently for all this time, Zeefy.
Do you really think I'd be telling you, Spider, if I was involved in all this? I know I'm a Gungan, but I'm not stupid. I tell you
he
what,
says,
you've got some fancy slicers up there at the compound. Why don't you have them come down here and analyze the holo recorder upstairs in that office? You'll find a pretty interesting phone call, probably coming in from Narset.
he says,
Zeefy, I love it when you elucidate me.
he looks over at one of the weakways and he says,
Go make a call.
and he says,
You said you were busy. Why are you still here?
Zeef kind of goes,
all right. And he starts heading towards his Escalade. He says,
I'll see you at the compound then, Zeefy.
fair enough. It was worth a shot.
and his boys follow him into the ride to nick the weakways, keep the place locked down. They hop in and ride off. Narset, you generated some points of conflict during the session. I need to look at my cheat sheet real quick to see how much conflict you get for torturing
Someone's
somebody.
getting a lump of coal for Christmas. Just fucking throwing your power around. You didn't even mean to. You like slapped the shit out of this guy with the force.
Good cop, bad cop.
But I didn't use the force.
No, you didn't. Yeah.
You just
Realistically, it kind of worked out in our favor now, because now we have like a person.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah.
Also, I love that I tried to shake down a gangster and he just like
Yeah.
walks away. Just like, I'm gonna pretend you didn't do
You
that.
didn't succeed.
I know,
You
but he
did
doesn't.
not
But he's not even willing to acknowledge or address it. He's just like look like an office stare at the camera moment, and then just like walk away. Like, that's,
He already said.
He made a Jim
He already
face.
said you. He already said you could come back to the club with him
Yeah.
and like actually have this conversation, and you were like, no. Okay, so there's conflict received for
Zeef knows better than to get into a room he
torture.
can't get out of.
Torture is 10.
What?
I
Torture.
don't think
Torture
it's
is 10,
torture.
but it's
This
not
was-
torture. It's,
It's
emotional
absolutely
abuse.
emotional torture. It's
Emotional abuse.
aggressive negotiations. Yeah,
Emotional abuse is also on this list.
You could make the argument
Yeah.
that these two
I would
Jedi
say
as a
that.
team just gaslit the fuck out of this guy. Like, Bendu's all like, I'm gonna fucking wipe your mind, and then Xavix is like, no, I'm your friend. I'm not gonna let that happen. Like,
So
total gaslighting.
So emotional abuse is 2, and coercion, just using the coercion skill and threatening someone with violence is 2. So you're going to get 4 points, 2 for using coercion and 2 for just offhand be like, okay, so now we wipe his mind, right? So that'll be 4 points of conflict.